Hey guys, welcome to Layman's Terms Podcast, the place where we talk about really big topics using the smallest words possible. I'm Danny the bartender.
And I'm Tommy the trash man.
And together we're just two guys trying to explain the ever-changing world around us the only way that we know how. And today we're going to talk about it's Wing It Wednesday. So it's another Wing It Wednesday episode where we're just basically making a good title around saying we're not really prepared for today. But we're going to start off. Tommy's got an article that kind of has a little bit to do with our last podcast. And then he's a little intrigued about a comet. And I might start talking about Hunter Biden. But all right, Tom, what you got? You got an article here?
Yeah, we're going to get really juicy. Okay. It's going to get juicy before Hunter. No, so just a little tidbit from our last Top 10 Horror episode. There was IGN.com released a scientific study determined Sinister is the scariest movie ever. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
Okay, well, it was actually pretty good.
I'm gonna look though as you do.
It was with Ethan Hawke was in it. So just a quick little rundown. A scientific study has determined that 2012 Sinister is the scariest movie of all time. According to Forbes, a scientific study by Broadband Choices determines that no movie, however, is scarier than Sinister. The study measures resting heart rates of 50 individuals of different ages while they watched over 100 hours of scary movies. When all was said and done, the study had determined that a list of 35 scariest movies, and at the top was Sinister. The average resting heart rate of the 50 individuals was 65 beats per minute. During Sinister, that average jumped to 86 beats per minute, which equates to a 32% increase. No other movie saw a higher rise in average. Rounding out the rest of the top 10 was The Conjuring, Hereditary, Paranormal Activity. It follows The Conjuring 2, The Babadook, The Descent, and The Visit. So I don't really know how I feel about that. There was a couple on that list that I do like, Paranormal Activity, The Conjuring 2, The Descent.
This is why you never believe science.
Yeah, that science is bullshit.
It's proof.
This is proof that science is bullshit. Yes, absolutely. So yeah, like I said, that was just a little something from the last episode. That was a long one. Hopefully everybody got through that one.
Do you think Sinister was good?
I do.
Good. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah. No, Sinister was a good movie. But like I said, hopefully everybody got through that 4.5 hours with us. Listening to that, I was a little shit faced. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I got a little bit fired up at the end of that.
Yeah, but I thought it was fun. I don't know. I had a good time, and James was cool, dude.
Yeah. We had a good time. Now, speaking of James, he just got banned on Facebook.
Nice. What'd he do?
Apparently he posted a picture of Hunter Biden snorting some coke off of somebody's butt or something.
And you're not, that's just ridiculous. All right, let's save that.
Yeah. So like that wasn't really the segue that I wanted to go with.
Well, that would be a good segue later, but yeah, that's insane. And God bless him. Poor James. That's ridiculous. That's just what's fucking sad about all this shit is that they're fucking, I don't know who Facebook and Twitter and fucking Google and everybody think they are, but it's getting ridiculous. They're taking James down.
Yeah. So, but it kind of in the same vein, I know everybody's anxious and eagerly awaiting the debates, the second debates on Thursday, and the election coming up on November 3rd. But in the meantime, we may be in trouble. There may be something coming our way that could put an end to all of this. Now, I don't really know, but an asteroid could strike Earth day prior to the election. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson has said.
But like, where's the asteroid now then? If it's going to hit before the election, where is it right this second? Why isn't fucking Bruce Willis up there doing something about it?
That yes, it's like Armageddon. We need Steve Buscemi
Oh, yeah, but
with
his
his
big
big
hog.
dick. Yes, his big dick energy up there.
Yeah.
I feel like he could just drill his hog into it faster than that fucking massive drill that they have, and then just plant the fucking explosives, whatever they need to
Yeah.
do.
We need to take down this asteroid. We need to get a good casting director.
But in all fairness, I don't think it's anything big cause for concern because the space rock apparently is the size of a refrigerator. So I think we're good.
Yeah, that'll just fucking disintegrate in the atmosphere. I just still think it's weird how it's like it's a fucking day before the election. Just another thing, like just another fucking thing to add to all the fucking baloney that's going on in the world right now.
Yes. Well, it may not evaporate in the atmosphere. I don't know. It may evaporate off social media. They may put a ban on any information coming out on there. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, you're not allowed to even talk about it.
Because they're making a hobby of that these days.
It's ridiculous. I don't know. We'll go. I mean, we could go right into the Hunter Biden shit, but it's fucking what they did to the Hunter Biden story is just, it goes back to what I've been saying, Tom, that I don't think you're understanding when I say it is they want something that has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with money. They in other words, that story is a juicy story. This is what fucking Facebook shares, these kind of stories. If it was the other way around, if it was something else, it'd be shared around, liked around. They wouldn't give a fuck about finding out how true it was or not. But this is a really big deal that they shut down. I mean, they shut down the fucking, like, I believe, like, the Trump fucking Facebook. They shut down Katie McNanny's, however you say her fucking name.
I don't know. Her name is not even important because she's super fucking hot.
Yeah, well, fucking say that while my girlfriend's watching TV. I hate this bitch. Turn this bitch off. But no, I mean, like I said, like, it's such a big story to even, like, I don't know if we want to take it with like right now, Google's being sued. Google and someone else is being sued by the government for the way that they, put priority in their advertising and shit. Like it's ridiculous.
Well, I'll believe it when I say it. I know that
they're in court right now. They filed a lawsuit or something like yesterday. Like, that's what I mean. There's some of these things are, I'll believe it when I see it because they've been that way. But some of these, like that's really going on. Now, will they win? But the whole thing, and that everybody keeps talking about, is it's apparently Article 213. It's the thing I brought up before, where they get this kind of immunity because they're not a publication. So they get immunity. And it's called Article 213, I guess, whatever they're in. Yeah.
Right.
But the thing is what that means is then therefore you cannot pick and choose. In other words, the minute you start deleting shit, you're a publication. The minute you start telling people who can and who can't be on Facebook, now you're a publication. You know what I mean? Right. Because the same thing like a newspaper. A newspaper don't let anyone write in their newspaper. They select articles. They select writers. They like people. They like to push out a narrative. They don't let like rogue fucking, they don't just let people say whatever they want on their newspaper. Therefore, that when you're reading that newspaper, kind of the bubble of information that you're getting. But even then, what makes me mad, and this is what I mean, when it comes to monetary stuff, if it's a story, why would you not want to carry it? Why would you not but yet they just want to block it. It doesn't make any sense to me, And then they make the, what was it? It wasn't the New York. Was it the New York Post?
It was the New York Post. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, even in a nutshell too, they make you feel like the New York Post must be a bullshit newspaper, and it's not a bullshit newspaper.
No, it's the number 4 rated, the top 4 publication in the United States.
But they call it a tabloid newspaper and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I don't know. I mean, I don't read any of them. I don't read the books. I don't read the papers.
Yeah, but you know what? That's a perfect example of what I mean. I don't read them either. But when a fucking where do you see that information? Like every time you see an article about the comet, about whatever, where do you see it? Somebody posts that shit on Twitter or Facebook, and then you get a little intrigued and you go into it. So that's the whole thing is like, unless you're someone who fucking reads the New York Post now, you're not allowed to get that story.
Right. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's I mean, just in the strange case that there's maybe some people that are listening that are unaware of what happened. I feel like you're probably better suited on this topic because you seem like talking to you earlier, you seem very passionate about it.
Well,
So
yeah,
why don't you give us a quick rundown of what exactly happened?
Well, fucking Hunter Biden's laptop was, I will say this, at first, even I was skeptical of the whole thing because you got fucking Rudy Giuliani coming out like a fucking Batman villain, fucking giggling and laughing and talking about this fucking laptop and everything. And it did seem a little sketchy at first.
Right. It was Russia.
Well, that's the thing. That's what everybody's saying.
Russia.
Well, this is the thing that makes me mad. Well, just to sum up what's going on is that, so Hunter Biden fucking he fucking apparently dropped off fucking 2 laptops and an external hard drive at a fucking Mac store. And like fucking the guy that owns the Mac store apparently was fucking a little nervous about the information that he had. So he saved a copy for himself. And then the FBI came and fucking picked up the laptop, took the laptop from him. They also are in the middle of an investigation about it. So they also, what we're finding out now is that the whole thing is in the beginning, the whole thing was like, okay, this is a little fucking weird, right? Rudy Giuliani just gets this information off of some fucking guy. And, it's all fucking seems to be wrapped in Russian propaganda. But what we're finding out now is no, the FBI has the fucking thing. The director of national intelligence fucking came out yesterday and said that this is not a Russian propaganda. This has nothing to do with Russians. It's an American investigation that the FBI and the DOJ are doing on their own, and that they have this laptop and that it's a real laptop and that it's been verified because there's the fucking bill for it and signed by fucking Hunter Biden. And this guy apparently was calling Hunter Biden to get the laptop picked up. And there was no fucking response, no nothing. And that was last year. It wasn't like 5 years ago. This shit was last year. So then what happened, where this gets real fucking crazy, is you find out that so at first it was all, he said, she said type of stuff. And you just had these like Rudy Giuliani looked like a madman because they're like, well, where's your evidence? And he's on there and he's like, well, I have the hard drive at my house, but here's like a printout of the fucking email. And they're like, well, what is that really? Like even Fox News was doing that to him. Like, well, what is that? You have a piece of paper in your hand that says it's an email. Well, now I wish I wrote the guy's name down, but there's another guy who is like a fucking senator or something. And basically what happened was Hunter Biden was apparently in some type of that the whole fucking operation he was running got taken down by like some investigation. And the other 2 guys that were working with him are in jail. So when the other guys realized that like this little Hunter Biden dickhead got off and never even got fucking any jail time, apparently his name was all over, like they're being tried and the name Hunter Biden is coming up, but Hunter Biden's not even getting tried for anything. And these guys get put in jail. So when everybody started saying that this shit ain't true, these other guys came out and one of the guys actually said, here's my fucking Gmail address. So like he's in prison and he says to a senator, I'll give you my fucking Gmail account. Right. So then they look up the Gmail account and they can link up the 2 fucking emails because it's like, if me and you were emailing each other and you had printouts of emails and I'm telling you it's bullshit. Well, if somebody goes into my Gmail account and opens up and I have the other end of that fucking email thread, it's legit. You know what I mean? It's an email.
Right.
But the whole thing is that right now it's still being called. Well, first off, the guy he was doing business with, one of them is the guy that owns the Viper Room in fucking California, or did. And the other guy is fucking Whitey Bulger's nephew. So you got this is what I'm trying to say. So, and this is all legit. This isn't me going like, ooh, conspiracy shit. This is real shit. You know what I mean?
We're not going all Alex Jones here.
No, I mean, but that's the thing is that we've become so accustomed to being like, oh, here we go, and this is real, So, so basically, then you have so basically what's going on is this article kind of came out in the New York Post, and they published some photos. They said they hadn't even gone through everything yet. They'd only gone through a third.
Right.
And they published like a couple of the fucking juicy emails. I don't know if you've ever seen the 2 emails, but
a little bit.
All right. So this whole thing is that everybody's like, but so what? That's Hunter Biden. Even though they're saying it's not true, they're saying, well, if it is, it's Hunter, and nothing links back to Joe Biden. Well, they have a text message from Hunter Biden to his daughter. And he says, I've been taking care of this fucking family for fucking 20 years and nobody gives me any respect for what I do. That's fine. I'll keep doing it, whatever. But he goes, and don't worry, I won't fucking ask for half of everything you guys earn like Pop does. So who's Pop? I mean, if it's Hunter Biden and he's saying Pop, who the fuck is Pop? Then in an email,
is he talking about what was that guy that rubbed his legs? What was this fucking
Corn
name?
Pop.
Corn Pop. Maybe it wasn't. Yeah. Maybe he's talking about Corn Pop.
Yeah, maybe he's talking about Corn Pop.
Good old Corn Pop's back in the picture.
I wish to God one of them emails said something about Corn Pop. Like, for all we know, Corn Pop is his fucking code name in the fucking Russian syndicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Corn Pop's a bad dude.
Send the money to Corn Pop.
Corn Pop's a bad man.
But so then one of the emails, so that was like a text message thing. Then there's there's some pictures. One of them's like Hunter Biden in a fucking bathtub smoking a cigarette. I mean, I'll say this. I understand that they don't really mean anything, but I mean, they do say a little bit. Like, he looks like a fuck like that. It doesn't look like this is the whole thing, is that how did he get these jobs? Yeah, there's nothing to this guy. Like, you can say whatever you want about Don Jr., about like shit he does or whatever. Like, again, too, this isn't about like, oh, look at this or look at that. I'm just saying that the thing with Don Jr. or something, or somebody in Trump's family, is you can say 30 things about like they shouldn't have their job, but at the same time, they're the son of Donald Trump and they're educated and they work and they fucking went to school and they whatever. I mean, you have a guy who Biden got into the fucking military at age 40, which is 2 years older than you're supposed to be allowed in the military. He got discharged in 3 months for smoking crack, but yet somehow he's constantly just gotten these fucking jobs, these do-nothing jobs. When you sit on the board of directors or something, these are jobs for people that you can either get something off of, or people that have been in the industry so long that they hold some form of expertise. So it's like, if you're sitting on the fucking board of energy and you're Warren Buffett and you only show up to 3 or 4 meetings, it's because you're fucking intelligent and you've mastered that industry, or you understand the stock market, or you whatever. And then here you have a guy who literally just has a life of getting fucking fired from jobs and smoking crack, but he's sitting on fucking energy company jobs in China. You know what I mean? Well, a Chinese company gave him like $1.5 billion to handle their money in their holding firm, the holding firm to which 2 guys are in jail right now.
Well, so I'm gonna just play, come to Hunter's defense a little bit here. First of all, it is absolutely no surprise, or at least it shouldn't be, to anyone that a bigwig politician got his son a high-paying job. I mean, I think that's pretty. That's you can make the argument that Trump has surrounded himself with his kids, and maybe they weren't necessarily qualified for some of those jobs. I don't know. I'm not necessarily mad about that.
Well, wait. But I think what you're not getting is
no.
These are jobs where he sits on a board for influence.
This is what I'm saying. I'm not surprised that this happened. Whether or not he's qualified, you're probably right. I mean, now here's where the issue comes into play, which hasn't necessarily come out yet. I haven't seen anything to really link all of it together, where if he got Hunter those jobs and somehow, Joe Biden was getting money funneled through him, Hunter, to him, or if he was using somehow like something in the United States, his political power to manipulate some.
Well, that's what's out there right now.
Well, these are the things that I haven't really saw, or that some things. There's certain things that I have seen, and there's certain things that I've read that like I realized that the part of the problem is that Joe Biden lied and said, I have no knowledge of my son's business dealings. So that was the first thing. Before any of this came out, he stated that multiple times.
Also said he never talked to him about it, never knew nothing, never met with anybody, that type of stuff.
Right.
So that's where this changes all the course of events, because they didn't even release all this information is now being leaked out, but it's also known to be true. So like just last night, they released a picture of Biden with like 2 of these motherfucking people that he's saying he never met. And he's got his fucking arms around them. But also in the emails, the 2 emails that they released that are real, and that the one guy said, the one guy from prison, okay, but there's an email that says it's from one of the guys in Ukraine. And it says, we want to thank you so much for getting us. Well, there's an email before, like the guy's saying to Hunter Biden, like, we need to, your position now, if you want to get paid, you need to, we're really interested in you introducing us to your fucking dad, basically.
Right.
And then there's an email saying, thank you so much for bringing us to lunch. And I'm so glad that you got us time with your father. Okay.
Right. And I saw that.
Then the other email is a breakdown of money from a Chinese energy company that says, here's like 20 for Hunter, 20 for this other guy, 20 for somebody else, all names. Everybody's got a name. And then it says, and Hunter is holding 10 for the big guy.
For the big guy, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But the whole thing is that then what you have to also correlate is Biden's on fucking like on video talking about how he withheld $1 billion until apparently there was a fucking prosecutor that was investigating Burisma, which is the company that fucking Biden's son's working with. So Biden is literally on video bragging about how he demanded that they fire this fucking prosecutor, and the people the people apparently refused. And the way Biden tells the story is that they go, well, you can't do that. You're not the president. And he said, well, give him a call then. And then he goes, sure enough, 6 hours later, they called me back, told me that they fired the prosecutor. So I sent the money through or whatever. But the whole thing that people don't understand is if we get focused on like him getting a job through his dad, this is what I'm saying. Like that's where it was a year ago, 2 years ago, where it's like, so what, whatever. Then there was well, your son's a crackhead type of thing. And well, now you're just debating someone's personal, whatever.
Well, yeah. And that was my whole thing. Like as far as his father getting him a job, I'm not surprised by that. Him being a crackhead, it is what it is. I mean, people struggle with their demons. I saw some pictures, and the one, he looks like he's about to do some coke off of somebody's fucking ass. And I can't blame him for, I've never done coke, but it looks like he's having a good time. So like, this is not something surprising. This is what I'm saying though. Like, I just haven't seen enough information to really, there hasn't been that bombshell nail in the coffin for me because look, especially right now in the information age that we're in, there's so much disinformation out there. You never know exactly what to believe. So it's kind of like, especially if you are a Trump supporter, how much information just is kind of like, it's hearsay, all of this shit over the past 4 years that we've heard about Donald Trump, and none of it was true, or at least it was never proven to be true.
But this is the whole thing I'm trying to say. This is the point. This is the major point. But yet Don Jr. had to sit down in front of the fucking, we all know that Russian collusion is bullshit now. We do. It's factual that it's bullshit.
Right.
But yet for 2 years, they ran that fucking story. They ran any story. You could put it on Twitter, Facebook, whatever else. Not only did they fucking run the story, but Trump's people got brought in and investigated for shit over him, and then ended up getting prosecuted for process crimes, which are things like you're not in trouble for anything that we thought you did, but you're in trouble now because you asked a friend not to testify or something. You know what I mean? Like you're in trouble for something you did in the process of us investigating you. However, what we investigated you for is we can't arrest you for. First off, what I will say is there's way more to the Hunter Biden shit than Don Jr. meeting. Like my whole thing, even with the Russian emails, was like, and I even say that about this stuff, even when I thought maybe it could have been some propaganda bullshit. It don't matter to me where it comes from. I'm not fucking trying to tell you that this isn't about me saying, ooh, Biden's in trouble now, or fucking Trump's not in trouble or whatever. Right. The bottom line is this is political shit that's illegal. And the thing that makes this bigger than just somebody getting a job is we're talking about a guy sitting on a board of energy for foreign countries. And then immediately after these undocumented fucking meetings with Joe Biden and shit, legislation gets passed or shit happens. And in a month later, the Chinese have fucking influence in America, as in they get basically what's going on is some company that is for, like, say, coal mining or something in China fucking puts fucking Biden on their board. And then Biden introduces them to their dad, and fucking, even though we're not allowed to fucking start coal mines over here, a month later, there's 2 Chinese companies digging fucking coal mines in America. And that's the fucking, that's true. And so that's even what the thing was with Hillary, when they say, like, I think it was like baranium or something like that, some type of fucking thing I don't know nothing about. It was the same thing. Like, she went and spoke, or Bill Clinton went and spoke somewhere, got paid $1 million for like a half hour of fucking talking. And the next month, that Russian company had a fucking, I think it's baranium or something, baranium mine. Either way, it's not that this guy's got a job. Like, if he was working as a fucking stockbroker and he got the job because his fucking dad knew the guy, whatever, that's one thing. But what it is he has jobs where he's sitting on boards and only has to go to 3 meetings a year, and they're paying him fucking $4 million a year. Meanwhile, all that's coming out of it is he introduces them to Joe Biden once or twice. Meanwhile, you also have Hunter Biden saying to his family basically that he has to give half his fucking money to his dad. You have Joe Biden, who lives in a fucking $1.5 million fucking mansion in fucking Delaware, but he technically has only made $140,000 a year for being, he's never really, he doesn't have any business dealings outside of being a politician.
Right.
But so I guess the end all of what I'm saying, it isn't even about the story. What it's really about is the fact that there's a story comes out, and then Twitter and Facebook, who all clearly have a side in this election, have chosen to not only not let that story come out, but even as it's become more factual, are still treating it as if it's not a story. And then what that really does, it's when they do that, they answer a question for people with, like, they enter the argument and make a decision without having to actually say they did it. Right now, the fact that story, even though it's fucking completely legit, it's more legit than any fucking Russian collusion story. They have a laptop. They're investigating it. Nobody gave it to them. The FBI sought it out themselves. I also believe that somebody investigating that laptop from the FBI is from the fucking sex trafficking fucking division, or underage fucking sex crimes division. And that it's a real laptop. It was really put there by Hunter Biden. It was really fucking taken into custody by the FBI. And yet for some reason, we're being told that story's false. And therefore what that does is, now when you go to Biden to ask him the question, he doesn't have to answer it. He just says it's a fucking smear campaign. Now Biden all of a sudden put a fucking lid on his campaign the minute that story came out. I think he posted something today like it's bullshit or something without really ever saying anything about it or discrediting anything. Nobody has discredited, just like the Hillary Clinton shit. They ain't discrediting that any of the fucking information is false. No one ever said the information's false. They're saying it's a smear campaign or whatever else.
Right.
And meanwhile,
right.
Twitter and Facebook and all that shit don't fucking put it out. And we just watched a video on how they can sway people's fucking opinions and shit. And basically, this is again where they don't have the fucking laws in place to fully understand it in a sense. But what people were saying was what they did for Joe Biden by doing that is such a large contribution. If you could sell that to him, what would that be worth? Not fucking totally blocking out a fucking story. And then these guys get to hide under that fucking 213 fucking act or whatever the fuck it is, but they're not, because they're not showing us everything.
All right, take a breath, bro. Take a breath.
Well, I mean,
right.
but this is legit.
No, take a breath, because I got something to say.
Go ahead.
No, going back to everything, my whole issue with all of this was just basically everything you addressed was the social media cover-up. That was my biggest concern about all of it, because like I just said about how, some of the information that I've read and some of the information I've gotten, I don't really know how to take it, because one, it's from most of the information I'm seeing is from people, right-wing people. So it could be a little bit biased. And, I'm starting to see some shit about there could potentially be some underage Chinese girls in some of these pictures or videos, potentially. These are all things like I don't know. The problem is, and the problem with this country right now is that the American people aren't getting the proper information. There's no fucking news networks that are just reporting the news and reporting the facts without slanting or covering things up or delivering it in a certain way that is making you think, maybe he's innocent, or it's just the Republicans trying, it's Russia, it's the Republicans just trying to smear campaign. And also it's very disappointing when, you look at the debates, you look at the recent town hall meetings that Biden and Trump just had, and you see the differences. Even it was very interesting. Even if you look at the seats that they had, Joe Biden's chair was like super comfy looking. It was this nice white chair. Trump was sitting on like a fucking stool. He was half hanging off it. And this may sound stupid to the average person, like, oh, that's ridiculous. But that's the type of shit. When you're in an interrogation room and they shine that fucking bright light on you and they keep badgering you like over and over with the same questions, there's a psychological element to all of that. That's why these things happen. And, you saw the way Trump was being questioned about white supremacy again. Do you disavow? And he's like, well, yeah. And they're like, well, because last week you weren't really sure. And he's like, oh, look, you go back before I was even a president. Like, how many times do I have to answer this question? But Joe Biden has yet to denounce Antifa, and you give him like tough questions. So like, there's been 2 videos recently where he was like out getting a fucking milkshake, and somebody was like, hey, Joe, what's going on with this?
And he's like,
and he's just like, I don't know. And then another
he turns the Dairy Queen. Like, that's what he did. He turned the Dairy Queen upside down to show that it doesn't come out.
And then the other lady asked him the question, and he goes, I knew you were going to do this. It's this. We need to focus on him and what he's doing. It's like, no, Joe, you're running too. We need to focus what's going on you as well as him.
But this is what's gross too, is that what's going on is their campaign is realizing the bias, and they understand the power that they have. So they're just like they know it doesn't really matter. They look at it like the more Joe says, the more fucking he'll get it. Like, it will have an effect negatively if he keeps going out and do so. Just stay away, go to the fucking debate. We're going to give you a bunch of fucking softball questions. We're going to mute fucking Trump's mic. And, you know, like fucking just as long as you just keep going on this path, we got your back. But the thing that's gross, what I'm saying is I don't give a fuck about Trump. I don't give a fuck about Biden necessarily. I mean, I definitely don't fucking want him to be president. But what I'm saying is I don't think that this is something that's going to make a difference in the election. What I want to be sure of is that this shit is going to be pursued, period. And what's scaring me is that the media ain't just going to turn on this fucking guy when it's all over. And as I keep hearing in these type of things, it's the media. Like if you go back to any, like one guy pointed out a good sign when he said the article that the dude who's now fucking super famous, the investigative reporter that fucking wrote the first story on Watergate, the things that didn't make sense that was going on with the Watergate thing. It was his article that wasn't really sourced, that didn't really have too much like he, you know, wherever he got his information from, it was kind of like a fucking hearsay kind of thing. And he wrote this article, and that article ended up leading to a fucking super investigation. And so it's the media's job to fucking do a little bit of this work that fucking, you know, the media is actually in a way supposed to be supportive of the people. Therefore, if the media isn't watching out for us, then a lot of shit can happen without us fucking knowing, you know?
Well, no, that is my biggest concern. My biggest concern about all of this is the American people not getting real information. I mean, let us decide based on facts, not based off of your opinions, not based off of, you know, celebrities and all this other bullshit. Just present us the facts. What has Trump done? What has Biden done? What is there, you know, a scandal? What's real about it? What's going on? Now, I know maybe it's all breaking recently within the last few days. So, you know, I'm sure that there still is some, you know, some checks and balances they got to go about. But the funny thing about Twitter, I believe it was Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, I don't know, one of them. They came out, they released a statement, and they were like, you know, we probably mishandled this a little bit, you know, based off our fact checkers. They use outsourced fact checkers, so they're not liable for it. But the kind of the hypocrisy about it is that maybe, I don't know, maybe you know better than I do. Maybe a few weeks ago, there was the situation where Trump was at a memorial service, maybe for some soldiers, and somehow there was an anonymous source came out and said that Trump called them losers for dying or some bullshit like that. Now, these stories were all over the place and being spread. I saw them all over Facebook. I saw them all over the place.
Everyone around him, everyone that was like closest to him, completely debunked it.
Yes. So you're publishing all these. You're allowing the flow of these stories on your platform without any fact checkers. It's anonymous fucking sources. Like what Tom, Dick, and Harry is your fucking anonymous source?
Well, here's a perfect example of exactly what you're talking about, so Shifty Shift, Adam Schiff, who fucking originally claimed all Russian collusion bullshit, he fucking crawled out of his fucking from under a rock again. And he fucking, he said, when I said that the DOJ, the National Director of National Intelligence, John Radcliffe, came out and said that this stuff is not part of some Russian disinformation campaign. Right. And then they said the same shit that they normally say, which you always know that means there is an investigation. We can't comment on whether there is or isn't an investigation or whatever, but this laptop is real and it's in our custody and it's not part of a Russian disinformation campaign. And the reason why they came out and said that was because Adam Schiff came out and tweeted, and it was written in every article and all over fucking CNN, that the emails were created by Moscow. So he came out and said that all the Hunter Biden emails are a disinformation campaign and the emails were created by Moscow. So the director of fucking national intelligence came out and said, whoa, that's not true, that there's not one bit of fact behind that. and then basically said that this is not disinformation. This is a real American government investigation. But here's the thing. Adam Schiff, his fucking shit isn't taken down. They're still saying on CNN that that's what Adam Schiff said. They're still posting on Twitter and Facebook that that's what Adam Schiff said. You know what I mean? But yet our friend fucking James Forsyth can't put a fucking picture of Hunter Biden sniffing coke off some fucking 12-year-old girl's ass. What the fuck?
He got put in. I got a friend request from him, and I was like, what the fuck? I thought we were already friends. And he goes, and he said something about, yeah, I'm in Facebook jail or whatever, so his backup account. And I was like, that's unbelievable, man. And you know, I haven't come across that yet, but
but here's the thing that they start to do, and this is what people don't understand. Like I told you before, I use Facebook for my businesses and shit, and it's like I just can't, like this is why I'm starting to realize how fucking scary it is, because this is what freedom of speech is. If you all of a sudden are afraid to speak your mind on a social media platform because you'll get fucking canned, you know what I mean? Like, I'm afraid to write any type of tweet with fucking Hunter Biden's name in it because I might get my account removed, and I'm not the Hodge twins, so therefore I may never get my account put back on. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that, to me, that's what censorship is if you're writing a fucking thing and you're like, I'm going to make my friends laugh, or, oh, how about this, or whatever. And as you're writing it, you go, well, I can't say that because I could lose my account. And we're living on these accounts. Like, in other words, we see it as, so what? You can't use Facebook anymore. Well, you're taken out of a fucking big community. That's like fucking being at school and being told you're not allowed to go to fucking recess anymore. You know what I mean? Like, or something. It's like you're not allowed to go to the playground anymore, but you can go wherever else you want. Well, all my fucking friends are in the playground. Why can't I go there? Right. Well, you said something we don't like, you know?
Yeah, man. And again, this is the one thing that's really scaring me about America. And I've addressed it multiple times. You know, it's one thing about policies, like if you're pro-life, pro-choice, you want free healthcare, all those things. I can understand, you know, some of those things, and that sways your vote. But there's another element to all of this, that it doesn't matter what party you align yourself with based off of those, you know, policies. There's there's certain values, American values, like freedom of speech, like that we should all hold dear. Like, it's part of our Constitution. It's part of what makes us the greatest country in the world. And it's slowly kind of being taken away. So little by little. And, you know, when you say something like that, you always kind of come off as like a conspiracy theory type guy. But I mean, you just kind of see, I mean, and this is probably going to get us banned, but I'm watching the town hall meetings, and Joe Biden mentions, he's speaking to a woman in the audience, and she talks about her 8-year-old who's a transgender. And he's like, I fully support her right, and she deserves that right, this, that, you know. Look, I fully support that right, but not for a fucking 8-year-old. What the fuck are we talking about? Like, and now somebody is going to hear that and say, that's insensitive. Okay. But at the same time, right now, we're at, you know, point A. In a few years from now, when we're at point D, there could be a student who is 5 or 6 and is at school and tells the teacher, you know, if it's a boy, and he's like, I feel like a girl, but my mom or dad won't let me. Like, that could be a form of child abuse. And then all of a sudden, those fucking, you know, the kids could be ripped away. The parents could be facing charges. And I know that this all sounds crazy, but I can see that happening in the next few years. It's just the progressive mentality that things have to keep moving forward. And that's one of those things where, like, I don't think that children, at that age should be, you know, saying I feel like a woman or like it's just it's
Well,
up
here's
to the fucking parent.
here's where I 100% agree with you, but I also see it a little differently. See, what makes me mad is I don't think Joe Biden believes what he said there.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, and so what? So my thing is the thing that grosses me out is that the left can answer questions like that and appease that. Like right now, they're so fucking broken apart that like they'll piss off a small percentage if they say this. I feel like people who like Trump, it's like we always hear a lot of shit that we don't like. You know what I mean? Like we don't like everything he says or does. But like in other words, like I'll vote for Trump, but I get real confused about this fucking abortion issue and whatever else. But the thing is I think with Biden or with the left, what makes me mad is he can answer that question in a way that he doesn't want to piss off that fucking small percentage of people that he might piss off by saying how he really feels about it. And then the rest of the people don't really care about it. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, the 40% that probably would agree with him if he went the other way, they don't get all fucking fired up because he said that about an 8-year-old. And this is my thing with that question. It's that it's about an 8-year-old. How I would answer that question if it was my 8-year-old would be, you're like, if my 8-year-old said, Daddy, I think I'm a fucking girl, and he's a boy, I'd say, no, you're a fucking boy. And the same way if he came to me and told me that he was a fucking Superman and he could fly, I can't explain it, but I wouldn't get too deep with the fucking kid. I wouldn't think, man, my kid told me he's a girl 5 times. I got to go get his dick chopped off.
Or pump him full of hormones to change his
Now,
biological DNA. Like that's just all like look, when you're a grown adult, fine. This is fucking America. You do whatever the fuck you want to do. But as a child, dude, that is scary shit to me, man.
But dude, I'll even go and I think you'd agree with me, because see, an 8-year-old is a child, okay?
Yeah.
So if I had an 8-year-old and they were like, Daddy, I think I'm a girl, whatever, I'm not 100% sure how I would handle it, but it would not involve me. I wouldn't be insensitive. I would probably start to be like, it all depends on the context of the situation.
Right.
However, then maybe if my child's 13 and they're having issues at school and they're fucking emotionally fucked up, and every once in a while I'm starting to see this thing pop up where I'm thinking maybe they're not happy in their skin. And then I have a 16-year-old boy crying in my house going, Dad, you don't understand. Like, I want to be a woman or something. Well, maybe the fucking ball will start rolling then in a way that I didn't foresee, in a way that I don't really want, in a way that I don't whatever. But I'm sorry that ball, an 8-year-old child is not going to tell me he's anything other than what he is.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess basically there's a lot of shit 8-year-olds say that like that question is so dumb that he answered it that way,
Not only I mean I don't remember his exact words, so don't quote me on. But the gist of it was, for me, I'm like, look, I believe in everybody's right to make decisions on their own and live how they want to live. But a child, no, you're not making decisions. I mean, dude, listen, when I was 15, 16 years old, the first time I got caught drinking, okay, I tried to rationalize it by saying, well, there's 16-year-olds in other country that can drink. And technically, my logic is sound. I mean, look, I'm a human being, part of this earth. In other places, culturally, it's accepted. And my mom was like, I don't give a fuck. I pay the fucking rent. You live under my house and my rules. And in America, it's not allowed. So like, I don't get to make the decision for me to go drink. Or I don't get to make the decision for me to do 90% of the shit that I wanted to do at 16. You know what I'm saying? So like, to lay that at kids' feet and just say, well, okay, you feel it. Okay, sure. You do when however you want.
Yeah,
You
and
live however like I'm like, that's just weird to me. And maybe I'm out of touch. Maybe I'm a little bit older. So like I didn't grow up that way. So it's not really ingrained in me. I don't really know. But I just feel like children, like our brains aren't even fully developed until we're 25 years old. Like,
and I also think that the weirdest thing about that question, and this is kind of what I mean about a leader, you know, the fact that when it was weird to me because it was such a simple question, but yet he actually did. It's like the only question that I fucking watched from his town hall. And what he did was he did that political game that they all do, where he kind of like deflected and just said something nice, you know,
right.
but the thing is like, I think a leader would have said something like, well, you know, I'm not so sure how I feel about age in this situation. However, I am for people being able to do whatever they want or whatever. And maybe that situation is, you know, kind of maybe a little different because of the kid's age or blah, blah, blah. But the fact that he basically just chose to not address that specific thing and then kind of say but that he's for that type of stuff, which in turn is telling a large part of the nation that Joe Biden just said it's okay for an 8-year-old fucking kid to fucking chop their dick off or whatever.
And I mean, listen, man, I know this is definitely a slippery slope, especially for me. I don't have children, so it's maybe in a way kind of a little bit hypocritical of me to speak on how somebody else should raise their child. But there's just like, again, there are just ideas out there that I see progressing in ways that are going to be really detrimental to society. You know, I just, there's just certain things, and that's why certain things on the left, man, like I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
Well,
Like it's just
I don't think that they, like we said, like, I don't think Biden even agrees with that. And so what scares me is he says whatever he has to say because they have a whole different other fucking agenda. And these people that think like Joe Biden's for us, I mean, I don't know if he's against you. I don't know what the end fucking game is. I guess it's just for the Democrats to be in power and keep their jobs. And I don't know what that then means for someone who bought into that bullshit and voted for him. You know what I mean? But I think, again, it's like they have this, like, it used to be just a black vote in a sense where they always fucking convinced them that they fucking need to vote Democrat. And then they've constantly let them down. And now you have gays and fucking transgenders and fucking whatever, you know, body dysmorphia or whatever these people are. And it's like, I'm not against these people or what they want, or I have no fucking whatever, but I'm more scared that but like you said, like what's happening to society. Well, I want somebody who's going to be a leader. I want somebody who's going to be a father to the nation and say like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We're not passing no fucking laws for 8-year-olds. I don't want somebody who's going to put it in their fucking policy to get your vote. I want somebody who's actually going to say, this is what is the best situation. This is the best scenario. This is the best decision for the American people. And maybe not everybody agrees with it, but my end game is to create the best possible society for everyone. And if you're not afraid to hurt some people's fucking feelings in the process, then you're not a good leader and you're not doing anybody any fucking good, any justice.
Well, I maybe, and I'll even maybe take this a little bit further because I do kind of agree with what you just said. But in all honesty, I don't even think it should be a topic that we're discussing for a presidential debate. Because in all honesty, this is not something that politics should be revolving around. Like, this is a parent making a decision for their child.
8-year-old child.
The government has no business in your home making decisions or laws. You know, of course, certain things maybe, but for the most part, this should not be a fucking topic in a presidential debate. Like, That's why that's another part of, you know, we're relying so much, especially I feel like on the left, on the government to step in and be a godlike figure or the parent figure to just give. And it's funny. It's kind of like what you said before about you mentioned about the parents, or like the government being parents. So it's like the two parent party. You know, you have one party who's the mean authoritarian figure in the household that is telling you no, even though, you know, you don't want to hear it. They're telling you no. Later in life, you'll realize why they told you no. And then you have the other parent that's just kind of like
Smoking weed with their 8-year-old kid.
yeah, they're like,
chopping his dick
okay,
off.
okay, yeah, sure, you do whatever you want. Like, just, you know, because we're the cool ones.
Yeah.
We're the emotionally sound, like we want you to like us, all this bullshit. And that's just where, you know, I feel like politics have really just gone off the rails, because most of the topics that we're even discussing, I'm like, why the fuck are we even talking about this? Even, you know, listen, I was pretty liberal before. I never had an issue with gay marriage. Like, I always kind of looked at it like, I'm like, why? Well, I don't know. If two people want to get married, why the fuck can't they? You know what I mean? That was just something that I always, I mean, we're talking about just back in 2008 when even Barack Obama was against same-sex marriage. And I was like, what? I just didn't see the big deal. But now I kind of realize, like, it probably shouldn't really have been a government decision.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we shouldn't be looking to the government. First of all, there should never have been any laws in place to separate that. Like, you should have just, like, dude, all right, you want to get married, go ahead.
Well,
I mean,
here's where I think it gets tricky, though. The thing that I don't want anybody listening to think that I'm saying, like, this is why I agree or disagree. No, well, I think that the one thing that is funny to me is that when it comes to these things that I don't think the government should be involved in, the reason why they are involved now, I don't think it was always this way. But I think what you're seeing now, and this goes back to like the transgender bathrooms and stuff like that. What's happening is the left wants laws, right? At one point it was, we won't let them get married, right? But I think the underlying issue of what it is, and you see it in these movies joking around, like fucking Adam Sandler made one with fucking Kevin whatever, where they get married as firemen and shit.
Right.
And so what I'm trying to say is, what I do think some people had a fear of is how you can fucking exploit the system even more. There's a lot of shit that, like, in other words, if you let anyone marry anything and then they marry their fucking car or some shit, you know what I mean? Like, they might.
Well, we can't marry inanimate objects or.
Well, so what I guess what I'm trying to say is, I've always thought exactly like you. Like, why stand in these people's way, you know? But it's like when the transgender bathrooms, or when Trump recently said that he won't allow transgenders in the military. People say, oh, he fucking doesn't like them, or he whatever. And the actual fucking point that kept being raised was that people that are transgender are people that have emotional issues because they're not even comfortable living in their own skin.
Right.
So 90% of those people require a lot of psychiatric fucking help and therapy. And I don't mean that like there's something wrong with them. I'm saying if what it is true, is that they're born into this world as something that they don't even fucking agree with, then they've got a lot of fucking internal issues that actually, like if I say they need psychiatric help and therapy, somebody will go, oh, really? Like I'm saying something bad. But then at the same time, if you say that in the right scenario, psychiatric help and therapy is something we're supposed to give these people because they need it, because they're in a fucked up situation. And so the thing is that just doesn't have any place in the military, because the minute you allow that into the military, then you have to set up this whole other system to accommodate these people, which apparently, I don't know how much it fucking cost or whatever, but apparently it just doesn't fucking fit in the system. And the decision was made based upon those type of things, not based upon whether we give a fuck about them or not or whatever.
Right.
But, so I guess the thing that people do have to understand sometimes is that these issues actually have more effects when you start to put them into laws. Like when you demand that there is a fucking third bathroom for transgender people, what happens is some little bar in New York that has fucking one bathroom or whatever, now that little fucking 200 square foot space that they don't even know how they were going to get one bathroom in the first place, now they got to put another bathroom in, or there's just so many other different legal factors that come up when you mandate into law shit you're supposed to do for people. It's almost like treating them like handicapped people or something. You know what I mean?
Well, my biggest thing again is government intervention. All of these issues that we have, that we face, realistically, they could be solved pretty easy. Just get the government out of your fucking house and out of your life. Like, there shouldn't, let's take away these fucking regulations and dumb laws. I mean, people will figure shit out. Look, basic laws. You can't kill people. You can't fucking steal. Basic fucking law and order is what the government is there for. Enriching our lives, creating jobs, certain regulations. But just everything is so overcomplicated because the government just keeps getting involved in everything. It's like even this stimulus package that's going on right now. It's like, look, every other day you turn on the fucking news and everybody is like, the American people, they're starving, they can't pay the rent, all of these issues, right? I mean, there was just Wolf Blitzer just got into an argument with Nancy Pelosi, and that was a big ordeal.
I didn't see that.
Oh, it was great. Wolf Blitzer was fucking grilling her, and she was like, I'm so glad that you're so concerned about our constituents. We feed them, okay? We feed them. First of all, shut the fuck up, Nancy Pelosi, okay? And basically, what you were saying is let them fucking eat cake. That's what the fuck you were trying to say. But again, they've been working on this second stimulus package for fucking months now. And the biggest thing is putting money back in people's pockets. They're out of work because of the government shutdown. The government caused the shutdown. Granted, it's not their fault that we had a fucking virus. I understand that. But you shut everything the fuck down. You put people the fuck out of work. Now we're arguing over these long-ass bills to pass in Congress. Well, I want this. Well, I want that. How about you just make a fucking stimulus package like the $1,200 that you fucking gave everybody 6 months ago, or whatever it was, pump that the fuck out and extend the benefits, the not welfare benefits, unemployment benefits. Make it really simple. Simplify the fucking package to just to get the money out to people. Work on all that other shit. Work on all the rest of that later. Like, if you're gonna argue over fucking if money's going to airports and money's gonna go over here, like, look, work that out later. If people can't pay their fucking rent, give them fucking money. But everything gets tied up because the government just over fucking complicates everything.
Well, here's the thing where I think you're a little, because what you were saying before is a little different than this, but this is worse, because what this is you have one side of people that actually said exactly what you just said. I mean, Trump even tweeted that out. Just fucking, I'll write out a bill right now for the fucking unemployment and the 1,200 stimulus. This is where this is different, is that government is getting involved here and they're adding shit in, but this is all political shit that has nothing to do with like intruding on our lives. This is Nancy Pelosi trying to get a win for in other words, not giving Donald Trump fucking, you know what I mean? Right. But going back to what you were saying about see, here's the weird thing, because I agree with you on what you were saying before that point. And there is this thing of the dad, like the government being like your dad and being way too involved in shit. In one side's the fucking good dad, the fun mom, the other
Right.
side's the bad dad or whatever. But here's my thing though, is with that 8-year-old boy situation, right? So I'm just going to ask you a question because I know you don't think government should get involved. So if a fucking parent decides to fucking make their 8-year-old child, that was a boy, a girl, okay? Why do you think the government shouldn't get involved there? Or should?
Because I think, look, obviously a parent can't do that on their own, right?
What do you mean?
Well, what exactly are you asking?
So in other words, like, think about the fucking shit that would happen if we didn't make some type of fucking policy that was for or against it, or if two people.
No. Here's where I will say, parents, look, they can throw a dress on the boy or a jersey, a football jersey on a girl, and say it's a boy or girl, whatever. That's one thing. That will be up to, if you send a boy, let's just say, and you dress him up, you put makeup on him, you send him to school. Well, the teacher's going to see that, and then they're going to raise some concerns and say, okay, what's going on here? So that's where the teacher will step in. Now, if they're going to take it a step further, then you're going to have to go to the doctor to go get prescribed any kind of medications or to have any kind of surgery. And there can be there. Okay. So this is where it does get a little bit, I understand what you're saying, but that will be up to the doctor's discretion to say, look, it's a boy, they're underage. We don't think that this surgery is appropriate for an 8-year-old. And that's up to the doctor's discretion at that age.
But so then the government finds out that there's a fucking doctor that fucking is all about this shit and is fucking telling people, hey, I'll fucking do the surgery. I won't even, I'll give you no evaluation. So, like, I guess what I'm just trying to say is government has to step in there at some point, because yes. At some
point, yeah.
So I think that there should be some basic core values that you need to defend. Like, in other words, the only way that doctor is to be trusted is if A, he's held accountable for any fucking misdoings he does, and B, if, like, you know what I mean? Like we don't know. Like, I guess there are parents out there, I'm fucking sure, that are fucked. Like, not like, this is what I mean. I feel like we always fucking think in our heads like everybody's the fucking Norman Rockwell family before we start trying to dissect it. And the reason why I believe that regulation and fucking somebody needs to step in and be like, hey, you can't do this type of shit, is because you'll have it might not be a lot, but even if it was 100 kids who never really said that shit to their parents, and their parents were like, I think he's a girl, because they always wanted a girl anyway, and they're transgender, or they're gay, or they're fucking straight and they want a football player. They want their fucking little girl to play football or some shit. And so somebody's got to step in there and say, listen, fucking you can't fucking do this type of shit to a kid until they're an adult.
Well, yeah, but you already, first of all, there's no laws really in place for anything like that now anyway, really. So I wouldn't
be surprised if there is or isn't.
So, well, I don't really know exactly how that would be, but you have people that
if they're not letting you marry, they're not letting you fucking turn your 8-year-old into a fucking.
But you have parents already that are like, have 5-year-olds that are just like, well, I'm letting my child decide their gender. So you kind of already, and that's without the government's assistance. So you're letting the child do that.
But what I'm saying is
that depends on the parent.
But I can guarantee you
that Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron's doing that with her child. She said, my child determines their own.
But I bet you any money that there's some type of process in place. I mean, I'm not going to argue it too much, but what I'm saying is just think with your common sense brain that when, like, in other words, that kid has to be psychiatric fucking evaluated. Somebody's got to sign off on it. Any step of that along the way had to be in some way fucking regulated a little bit by government. I can guarantee it without even knowing the facts. There has to be some type of procedure that you have to like prove, like, like, in other words, that what if she takes her kid in and the kid's like, but I don't want to, and you go, he really does want to be a girl.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, everything about this is very complicated. This is what I mean. I don't necessarily know that this is something that we should be debating about during a presidential debate.
No, 100%. But the fact that it's brought up at all, and this is what I'm saying is, you have a guy saying, "Oh yeah, it's all right for your 8-year-old boy, whatever, blah blah blah," and that's not the fucking case. When he gets, like, people are going to vote thinking that's right, and what I don't know is when because he will be making decisions like this. There will be a decision because maybe this is new. Maybe, like you said, like, maybe it's already happening. So basically what's going on is there's probably been, I bet you any amount of money that you're going to see documentaries of like some fucking 18-year-old boy who wants to turn back to a girl because his fucking mother and father fucking just wanted him to be a fucking girl when he was fucking 8 years old. You know what I mean? Like,
well, again, and this goes back to too many politics going into it, and it's all about votes. Rogan had a woman on that did a bunch of fucking research on this and wrote a very controversial book about how influence, first of all, these people, like you were talking about, are psychologically, I don't really know what the word, they're a little bit disturbed. Because they're and it's not no fault of their own. They feel uncomfortable in their own skin. They're not sure. They're unsure of who they are. Now, the podcast that he had this woman on, she wrote this book, and she was like, "Look, this is a dangerous road that we're kind of traveling down because it's become such a big topic, and because so many people kind of feel alone in life, and they kind of want to, like, let's say you have a boy that feels like he's kind of a dork, he's kind of like a loner, he's kind of lonely, he doesn't have any really friends. Now all of a sudden, if he comes out and says I'm a transgender, he has a group of people that support him. Everybody's like, oh, and praising him for this, and now you're so courageous. So he's getting that attention that he wasn't getting as that lonely boy. Now, this is where it gets fairly controversial because people will say, no, that's not the case. But you have to look at it in other ways and look at how we just are as human beings. Look at politics. People identify themselves as Democrats, progressives, Republicans, and it's hard for you to really change people's opinions and their minds because they identify so strongly as that person. They look at the other party and other people that don't believe the same way they do as Nazis, as racist, as the fucking enemy. So they feel comfort in that pocket, in their tribe of Democrats or liberals or Republicans. So it was a really interesting podcast, and that's what I mean. It's really, really kind of slippery slope. That's why there's way too much government, just in my opinion, involved in everybody's life. And listen, the argument always is, well, what would be the solution? I mean, when it comes to the economy, the market would always work itself out. You know what I mean? If you took away all these regulations, there's a way for the market, in a free, completely open market, to work themselves out. The same thing goes for, there was just a podcast, another Joe Rogan podcast I was listening to. He had two Black Rifle Coffee. The guys, they're two Army veterans. They started Black Rifle Coffee Company, and they talked about the military complex issues that we're having here. And it's something that Trump actually said, that, we got some issues with government spending when it comes to the armed forces. And the guy gave an example of they had all these Mercedes, like, I don't know, G-class trucks that were fully armored. And he's like, we just had rows and rows and rows of them, never even used. And he's like, dude, they're hundreds of $1,000s a pop. And they're just sitting there. We don't use them because when they're in Iraq, when they're in Afghanistan, if they're driving around in that, they're going to get attacked. They want to get like, dirty fucking beat up pickup trucks, little fucking Chevy Suburbans, shit like that's going to blend into their surroundings. So they talked about, and they were like, the problem is it's not a Democrat problem. It's not a Republican. Or I should say, this is the one dirty secret that the Democrats and the Republicans are both in on. The military spending is just out of hand, and they're both, it's the thing, the unspoken secret that they don't talk about, but behind closed doors, they're both in on it because they're both making money from it. And he was like, it's just complete overspending, complete waste. And that's just, our tax dollars. That's just the government coming in as usual into our fucking taxes. And it's like, dude, now you see 50 Cent, like with fucking Joe Biden's tax proposal. Like he's like 50 Cent's going to turn into 20 cent. Like I'm fucking out on this. It's like,
well, that's something I keep thinking about too. Like forget just a 50 Cent thing, but like a lot of these people, this is another thing I can't understand. There's a lot of people, even people that I know personally, where they don't reflect any of the left. I'm thinking in my head, these people have to they must just be in a circle. Like I know owners of businesses, let's just say, who, when I hear them talk about Trump, they're like, oh God, blah, blah, blah. Like he's disgusting. But they're always talking in front of like their liberal kind of like higher up bosses and shit. But like, it seems like I get so confused at how they could be like, in other words, this person that I know in their life makes greedy decisions. They don't want to fucking give healthcare to their own fucking people. They don't want to fucking, they're constantly trying to fucking pinch pennies and get more fucking profit. But all of a sudden they're these huge Biden supporters. And I'm thinking in my head, there's no way in hell that any person making over $400,000 would want 62% fucking taxes. It's insane.
It makes them look good. It makes them, because it's the party of like acceptance and like love. So like everybody's like, oh, like you're so nice, and I care about people.
Tom, they're being taxed right now at like 20%. Okay, that means if you have $1 billion, you will have $400 million at the end of this. So I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, my question is, do you think they're doing it in front of people, but maybe actually like have no intention?
I wouldn't be surprised if some of them were fucking saying that they're voting. They got their Biden sign out front, but they're voting for Trump.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just an image to portray.
Well, here's something
because again, it's like the bad parent and the good parent.
Yeah.
You seem like the morally superior individual when you vote Democrat. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
but really, like we said, how it's like a good or bad parent. It's like when your mom is like, you got to also think like, my dad was the shittier of the two parents as far as being a parent was. But when I was with my dad, that's when I got clothes and when I got gifts and when we went places, because that's how they fucking emotionally fucking make up for the fucking shit that they feel inside that they fucked up on. Is they make up for it with gifts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And dude, and here's the thing. I know a lot of, liberals that really don't have an issue with paying more taxes if that means that everybody has, free healthcare and, free education, all those things. Which, look, I think that's very noble. Like that's, I truly believe that they don't mind doing that, at least some of them, to help other people. Like, I think that's, and that's like, I admire that. The problem is a lot of times those people are better off usually. and it's still going to affect the middle class and the average guy. It's going to hurt. And then on top of that, going back to the military and the overspending, is the government's just going to continue to get more
Yeah.
power and continue to take more money
And waste your tax.
and it's just going to get wasted.
Yeah.
Because
it's going to get. Go ahead.
Once the free healthcare and once the free education comes, there's going to be new fucking projects and new other ideas, the Green New Deal and all these other things that are just, they're only going to be able to get. First of all, the government doesn't create money. Business owners create money. People make money and the government takes money.
Well, dude, you brought up
that's the only thing they're good at is taking your money.
You brought up a point about like shitty spending by the government. And I'll give you an example of what I learned during Obamacare shit. First off, in a quick nutshell, I had insurance before Obamacare. I paid $150 or $200 a month. Obamacare came out and I had to reapply for my same thing, but under like the Obamacare website.
Right.
I got my same package, but it was for $250, but I got a $50 fucking whatever you call it from Obamacare to like a deduction from them. So my $250 plan went to $200, which I'm like, whatever. That's what I was basically paying. I ended up having to drop my insurance because it went up 3 or 4 times in the first year. So I was originally paying fucking $150 to $200. Then after Obamacare, I'm paying $250. By the end of the first year on Obamacare, I was paying $475 and I couldn't do it anymore. Right.
Right.
Now, one thing I learned when I was having a discussion about Obamacare with somebody, there were these people at my bar talking about the free phones. Okay. So if you were in a certain bracket and you were on Obamacare, you could also apply for a free cell phone from Sprint, right? Not a cell phone itself, like the service and everything, right? So I was like, wait, what the fuck is this? And then these are the things that I don't understand about government and to show you how something's weird. So if you were on Obamacare and you were in a certain bracket, you were allowed to get a cell phone for free, right? Like the service and the phone.
Right.
But you had to go through Sprint. So this is the kind of fucking deals that I don't understand. First off, in other words, I got to pay $475 because I have to pay for other people's Obamacare. That's how Obamacare worked. It was you take everyone and everybody's got to pay, and those who don't are being paid for by the ones who have to. You know what I mean? So the more people that couldn't pay, the more your shit goes up. Well, who the fuck made a deal where these motherfuckers get a free cell phone and it has to be from Sprint, which means it's a nutshell overspending tax dollars fucking deal with Sprint. Like, all right, Sprint made some deal with the government and the government is going to, so basically at the end of the year, I'm pretty sure it ain't like Sprint was giving them a fucking deal. Sprint probably fucking oversold them, charged them fucking more than a regular fucking service, whatever. But what I'm getting at is that's complete over fucking spending, period. You know what I mean? But to get a free cell phone, like these are deals that don't make any sense to me. And this is the shit like you were saying about like Nancy Pelosi stuff and like, with the fucking unemployment deal and everything. It's like, and I'm sure somebody's probably going like, what's he talking about? A fucking cell phone? But no, the shit was true. That you can get a fucking cell phone under Obamacare for free.
Well,
if you fall into a bracket. And I'm looking at people that are servers in the service industry that I know don't claim all their money. And then they're getting free healthcare. And then on top of that, a free phone, but they all make fucking pretty damn good money themselves. And so that's just a deal that they didn't need. They just found out like, oh, you can get a free phone. And Sprint and fucking our government got together and made that fucking deal. And I think that's the weird kind of ties that happen where it's like Sprint is donating fucking money to somebody's fucking campaign. And then when they sit down, they got to give this fucking deal to Sprint,
And then what are the drawbacks of programs like that? Because when you think about it, if you're that person I mean, let's not even, like you were talking about the servers who are making good money, who are taking advantage of it. Let's even just wipe those people out and just say that, let's just say those people don't exist for sake of argument.
Well, yeah, and then
So,
it's a bad thing to even put into the mix.
no, but it happens. I
Yeah.
mean, there's definitely a ton of people out there that take advantage of loopholes and take advantage of the situation. But let's just say that everything's running fine and people aren't taking advantage of those situations. So then you have the people that it's intended for, you know, the really the poor people that need health care, yada yada. Why do they need a cell phone? Like,
Yeah.
so the idea is, well, that's modern technology, everybody needs a phone. Well, no. I mean, why it's kind of like when we were a kid, you know, air conditioner wasn't a necessity, it was a luxury.
Yeah.
So, like, now look, times change. We move forward. I understand that, you know, technology, all of those things progress. But the government shouldn't be giving out things like free cell phones when people will be fine without it.
Yeah.
So those people getting food? Are they getting shelter? Are they getting their health care? Okay. Then you're giving them, and what does that do? That buys their vote, and it also gives them it takes away their incentive to move forward, because now we're talking about free education. You know, it's always the free healthcare. It's always these free programs, you know, even with like the internet. Like, if you're on a fixed income, like, you get cheaper internet access and all, which I mean, again, maybe you need it for a job. I don't know, but there's all these little things that we just keep giving away. And obviously that, to a lot of people that are for those programs, they do it from a moral high ground. Like, they're saying, well, they should have these, they're poor people. And in all honesty, like, look, it's not like we don't have the money in this country, like, sure. But where's the incentive to move yourself out of that if you're always given things? You know what I'm saying? Like, when we were a kid, like, there were times where, you know, my mom would buy food stamps. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody would come and say, you know, I got $100 worth of food stamps. Give me $30 and I'll give them to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. My mom used to go behind the fucking McDonald's on Woodland Avenue and fucking trade them in. There was a guy would stand out there on like the first of the month behind the McDonald's on fucking Woodland Avenue up by you. Like,
so like, you know, I understand how that works. And I understand, you know, especially for my mom, a single mom, you know, that's all groceries. But like, there were times where she would send me to the store with that money, and I would feel, and as a kid,
gross.
Like, I would feel embarrassed.
Gross.
And now people, like, it's on that nice card, like, you just swipe it. People don't even really know if it's your they don't know if it's your you know, your debit card or your, you know what I'm saying? Or your
That's a
welfare
good
card.
point.
Like,
That shit should still be exactly like it used to look like.
But again, you know, it just, my main concern is that we're just enabling so many people to not want to move out of those. You know, I know a few people, and even in my mom's situation, you know, she makes X amount of dollars. She's not doing great. She makes enough to cover her mortgage and, you know, cover her bills, but she doesn't have a ton of money to do anything else. But she makes more than what's allowed by the government to get health care.
Yeah.
Or to get any kind of assistance. And it's only by like a couple $1,000s. So I'm like, it's crazy. So it's almost like, in another situation, if she didn't have a mortgage, you know, and maybe she was just renting or whatever, in many cases, people would say, well, fuck it. I'm not going to work because I can get X, A, B, C, D, and E for free. And now if I work, I don't get as much, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just really setting so many people up for failure, I think. And it's just, it's an unintended, well, let me rephrase that. I don't know that it's necessarily an unintended drawback. It could be intended, and that's where it may borderline on conspiracy theory. But I do believe the government is fully aware of how to
Yeah.
operate, just like Facebook knows when they hire psychologists to come in to get you to do what they want. I fully think that the government has a hand in that to get you to think a certain way, to get you dependent on them, to get they're buying your vote.
Well, with what you're saying, I knew a guy personally that was in a situation. Say you said your mom made a little bit over, and so if she wanted to, technically, she could fucking find a way to make less to get more.
Yeah.
I knew a guy personally who I couldn't stand, and I remember this guy had like 3 or 4 kids. He actually had a nanny that was paid for by the government that would come and work from all week, and like this dude was a dirtball. He had the nanny fucking doing all kinds of shit she wasn't supposed to be doing. So he went through like 10 of them because they all quit because they're like, you know, they weren't there. They'd be there and he'd be fucking having them fold his clothes and shit.
Right.
But anyway, this guy would also always be like asking about a job and shit. And one time he fucking asked if he could pick up something at my job or something. And I was like, yeah. And he did the opposite of what someone would do if they were asking about a job. Like, you know, somebody would say like, hey man, I'll work whenever you need me. I can work fucking 10 hours a day. I only can't work this day, but I promise I'll do this or that. No, this guy was doing the complete opposite, asking me questions like, if I work, will they give me overtime if I do this? And he was saying it like negatively, like, will I be able to only work 6 hours in a day and all this shit? And what it was he made something like $25,000 a year. If he made like $29,000 a year, he would lose the healthcare, the nanny, the fucking housing. So technically he was making $25,000 a year, but living like he was making $60,000 a year because his kids fucking were personally attended to. He never needed a babysitter, and he fucking had groceries and his fucking place was paid for and everything else. And I'm thinking in my head, like, there's gotta be a better system than like having people refuse raises at their job. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
having people trying to not work overtime because they're going to lose everything. There's gotta be a better system than that.
Right. Like there should be a threshold, like and I have no idea really how the system works. But if you cross over that income, bracket, but it's only by, if you're overstepping by like $3,000 and now all of a sudden you're about to lose all your benefits, maybe there should be just a cutback, like in maybe half of what you're receiving, or have, you know what I'm saying? Like something where you can kind of oversight. So this way, in another couple of years, maybe the person, whatever, now they get another $3,000, $4,000 raise. Now they can get off it and not worry about, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And you know what else I think goes on too when you talk about overspending and stuff? And when you were saying like people get internet and people get phones and people get, right, I'm talking about a guy who gets a nanny and whatever. And like, what I also think there's a lack of in this fucking country is like people actually doing something. Like, in other words, Sprint isn't doing anything at all by giving you a phone. They're probably charging you fucking double for the phone. You'll just never know that you're getting charged it.
right.
And so that internet service, like, in other words, it isn't like Comcast gives you fucking free internet and TV if you're poor. Comcast can sign you up if you're poor, and then they have some agreement with the government where they just hand over like, yeah, we have 100,000 people on our fucking on Comcast this year, and there's no break. They probably double charge fucking the government, and so that's the fucking problem. Like even like I was saying, like the nanny, like some girls probably coming to work there and probably getting paid fucking $400 or something, but there's probably like a service that fucking links them up and whatever else. And that dude is probably it's a government contract. It's a fucking cakewalk, I'm sure. It comes right down to the Obamacare website. And anybody who doesn't understand this can look this up. The Obamacare website, if you guys remember when we were all supposed to sign up for Obamacare on the website, it was a fucking disaster. The website was a disaster and it was talked about forever and it wasn't ready. It never was ready. It was budgeted for something like $50 million. And I'm pretty sure by the time it was done, it was $1 billion. And this is not exaggeration. And so it's like, what website cost $1 billion? And is that insane or what the fuck? And I've had this conversation with somebody else recently where like, you know, they were arguing me on it, and I looked it up, and like, I think it says right on Wikipedia how it was a major disaster and it was supposed to be like $50 million and it ended up being $1 billion. But where did that billion go? There's no other website in the fucking world that's $1 billion. So what was $1 billion, you know? And it was a government contract. And so it was. And then I think you also have all these people writing checks to these people where, you know, they're just taking advantage of government as well. And government doesn't care because they're writing the fucking check, period. You know what I mean? Like, so it goes into what you said, like, what's going to happen if Biden collects fucking 62% of everybody's fucking taxes? And then my brother.
Well, it won't be everybody's. Apparently, everybody over $400,000.
Yeah, but this is also what people don't understand about that policy, and this is what people really don't understand. A lot of us make over $400,000 in the sense of being taxed, and we understand because first off, Trump's going to do what said he was going to do away with payroll taxes. Said that's gone in fucking January, and that wasn't an election promise. He said that they've been discussing it. It happened. They did it to some of us during the fucking pandemic, and now they think that they can get it taken off completely because there's other ways. I always thought that taxes were weird, where it's like you buy something and you pay a wholesaler buys something and pays taxes on it. The people that bring it into the country pay taxes on bringing it into the country. The guy who buys it pays taxes on it. Then when he sells that to someone at wholesale, they pay taxes on it. When that person puts it into their store, they sell it and they get charged taxes on it. And the guy buying it pays taxes on it. And the guy who made his money that week got taxes taken out of his paycheck. So it is a weird fucking, like, how much shit gets taxed, you know?
Yeah, and guess what? The government's just sitting there talking about dumbass laws or arguing over laws, doing nothing, collecting all of this tax on fucking everything. And it's like the people, we're the ones that are out there creating. We're the ones out there spending. We're the ones out there working. And the government's just sitting back collecting, just raking in hand over foot.
And it only works if they have our best, because we need them, but it only works if they have our best interest at heart. It only works if when they make a deal with Sprint, they're actually fucking negotiating that deal down to where it makes sense for everyone. You know what I mean? And but going into the Biden, what people don't understand about what Biden's doing is, so Biden's going to not tax your fucking paycheck, basically, if you make under $400,000 a year.
Right.
But he's raising capital gains tax immensely, and he's raising taxes on business and whatever, blah, blah. But what people don't understand is, for an average guy who, I'll say even yourself, right? You probably don't make over $400,000.
Unfortunately not.
But do you pay into a fucking like a pension, and do you pay into do you pay into like stock 401k, right?
Yes. Yep.
So when you want to retire off of your 401k, there's going to be some things you're going to sell outright. There's going to be other things you're going to try and collect dividends off of to live off of, right? And then you also have maybe a house at some point that's kind of your nest egg. So if you make $150,000 a year, your retirement is going to be based off of your house and your 401k and your pension or whatever. Well, everybody's pension is probably in some type of stock account. So capital gains is going to get taxed like fucking 55% or something. So your dividends. So if you intended on living off of your retirement money, when every time you pay yourself out a dividend, it used to only be 20%. So you might have worked out your retirement and said, well, if I can make $2,000 in dividends a month and get taxed 20% off of that, I can live off of that. Well, now you're going to get taxed 55% off of that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you sell your house, the tax for that is capital gains as well. So right now, I think if you sell your house, you're looking at like 20 to 30% tax.
Right.
well, you're going to be 55% of your house. So it actually, and also, which they're saying now that they're not going to do, but apparently also like uh, Trump's tax cuts for the end of the year. So like there weren't really major tax cuts done on your paycheck, but at the end of the year, when you go to get your income tax or whatever, every American kind of got like a $2,000 extra fucking cut. So you add that in too to what the taxes were or whatever, and that's going to go away. But the whole thing, I guess I'm saying, is like that we are all getting taxed, just not up front. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right.
like
It's in the back end.
yeah.
It
And
gets in the
so,
back end.
so the thing is it sounds like, oh, I don't make $400,000. But like I said, like if anyone out there has any type of like, I doubt people have fucking $50,000 and they're like, I'm going to retire off of that. So anybody that has an end game of owning a home and retiring, there's a lot at stake in taxes for you there too. You technically, you might not make $400,000 a year, but your net worth at some point is going to put you in a category of this fucking crazy tax. Ice Cube, 50 Cent,
all
20
these
Cent.
all these rappers, there's a lot of rappers that get caught up in tax evasion, man. They might want to think about who they're voting for. You know what I mean? Like they're going to be paying a shit
No, but you know,
ton
like
more
fucking
tax.
God bless 50 Cent for honesty. He's
Yeah.
like he, because he even said like, fuck it, I don't give a fuck. I don't care about Trump. I care about me.
Yeah, like which it used to be like
Yeah.
mostly everybody was like, hey, I'm voting for myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm voting what's going to benefit me. But yeah, man, I don't know. There's a lot of craziness going on, but maybe to end it on another little article that I found that I thought was interesting on another IGN.com article. There's a 50-50 chance we really are living in a simulation, scientists say.
That's crazy.
So some scientists believe that there's a 50-50 chance we really are living in a simulation. And now we have to wonder if The Matrix is looking more like a documentary than science fiction.
And you have to believe science.
Yeah. In a report from Popular Mechanics, some scientists believe that the odds that life as we know it is a simulation could be as simple as a coin toss. The 50-50 coin toss approximation comes from the Scientific American cited odds of 50.222 to 49.777. I don't know what the fuck this is, layman's terms. I don't know what any of that means. But when determining whether or not life is a simulation, Popular Mechanics cite philosopher Nick Bostrom's 2003 paper, "Are We Living in a Computer Simulation?" He says, I argue that at least one of the following propositions is true. One, the human species is very likely to become extinct before reaching post-human stage. Two, any post-human civilization is extremely unlikely to run a significant number of simulations of its evolutionary history or variations thereof. Three, we are almost certainly living in a computer simulation. It follows the belief that there is a significant chance that we shall one day become post-humans who run ancestor simulations is false, unless we are currently living in a simulation. So yeah, man, there's a little bit more to the article, but it gets really deep. But I'll tell you what, man, in the world we're living in right now, and depending on who wins this election, I hope that we could start. I hope we learn really quickly how to dodge bullets like Keanu Reeves did in that fucking movie.
Well, dude, I don't know if you watched the Rogan, but they were saying that the pandemic was us. They were just goofing around, but they were having this real thought, and they're like, the pandemic was really that the fucking system needed to reboot, so they needed us all to go in, stay inside, while they fucking rebooted our Matrix upgrade.
Well, dude, I'll tell you what, man. I don't know what I got to plug into to get myself a hot fucking broad to live out the rest of my fucking simulation. I got a date tomorrow, so we'll see what happens.
Dude, would you do that? Would you do one of them dolls?
No, I don't think I mean, listen.
I could see you walking like a 55-year-old Tommy, like, fuck it, I gave up. I bought this plastic doll.
If I kind of be like Joaquin Phoenix in that movie, Her. You ever see
Yeah,
that?
it was great.
That
And
was a
there's
good movie.
yeah,
It's, it's really fucking depressing, really sad.
yeah.
Um,
There's another good movie if you like that with fuck, who's the guy that I can't even believe he played the role, the guy that everybody loves from The Notebook.
Jake and the Real Doll.
Oh, you saw it? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I never watched it. It's what's that fucking
It's
dude's name?
good. It's not the same thing as like the fucking Joaquin Phoenix one or whatever,
Yeah,
but
I never saw it, but
good.
um,
Go, you should watch it.
I did see some article about you know, or maybe it was a podcast where they were talking about sex dolls and how they will continually to progress.
Well, they say
Uh,
all technology. This is why people believe, and this is why I'm starting to believe that they will have fucking that they will have fucking what are they called? Robot people, whatever, androids.
right.
And the reason why I believe it is look at all the technology. They say the internet, computers, processing power, all that stuff, like VCRs, all that shit was spearheaded by pornography. Like people wanted to download pornography faster. So they basically say that I'm dead serious. I don't know if you ever read that, but they say porn is usually one of the fucking leading things in technology in a weird way that basically it stems from in the beginning of the internet, people wanted to fucking download a picture of fucking porn. And so people were working on like getting that shit faster and faster and faster. So therefore you're getting these faster download speeds and shit. They say originally one of the whole fucking reasons why VCRs actually made sense was not so much for movies, but because fucking guys were buying fucking pornography and able to fucking take it home. And so now I'm thinking in my head, they're working on these fucking dolls and they're going to fucking just keep trying to make them more realistic and more lifelike and whatever.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, the fucking porn dolls are going to be like the Terminators.
Next thing you know, I got Scarlett Johansson on my arm.
Dude.
Which I got to be honest. So it's really easy for me to sit here and say no right now. You know, obviously, like the real thing's fucking fantastic. But I mean, dude, you know, I've done okay for myself in the dating world. I've hooked up with some attractive women, but I'm certainly no fucking Brad Pitt. So like, there's definitely chicks that are out of my fucking league that I couldn't land. So like,
well, and then you gotta think like, what about when you're 60? Like when you're 65 and you could fucking either have wrinkled fucking Roberta, or you could fucking, or you can have fucking somebody who looks almost like fucking whatever that girl's name you said was.
Carmen Electra.
Yeah,
you can Carmen Electra.
You can have fucking Carmen Electra in her fucking prime, but she looks a little robotic.
Yeah.
Or you can have wrinkly Sally.
And she probably doesn't talk back.
Yeah.
She's probably not going to require much. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but dude, that would be great if you can get a doll that initiates it. That might be different. You know, like if you can get a doll that actually like says, "Hey, come on, I want to fuck." Like you'd be like, so that would be realistic. You know
Especially, just imagine all the dudes in the bars, like that. You know, there's a couple of robots walking around. Like I don't know what they're doing there, but if they're just hanging. Like I don't know if they can fucking drink whatever. They're just hanging out. Maybe the bar puts.
That's a great
there.
business idea. Like there's servers by day, and then but before the shift's out, if you want to rent one out and take it home,
like you go to the bar places them there because you're like, yo, I might fucking score with the fucking Carmen Electra robot, and you know you fucking take her home, and.
Dude,
I don't know. I mean,
that'd be a great way to test it out, Tom. Like the best way to see if it really works, you just leave one of those fucking dolls sitting at the end of the bar at like 1:45.
That's what I'm saying. Like maybe it's an option. Like you got real girls there, so like, all right, nothing's happening. So you just go swipe your debit card and fucking, Carmen Electra, the fucking robot doll, walks out of an enclosed case or something, or it's one of those fucking crane machines that you're gonna keep dropping on. You're gonna be all drunk and fucking using the joystick.
And just think too how we always talk about like echo chambers, like and how like Facebook knows you personally. So like you could fucking put your Facebook like when you sign into her, you sign in with Facebook.
Yeah.
She just keeps telling you shit you want to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I just heard?
Yeah. So and that could be.
Yeah. Would you like pillow talk?
Yeah, and they genetically morph they take all of your information and they build you in a matter of fucking seconds.
Yeah.
You're
And then
the
there's
perfect woman for you.
But if you ask anything Facebook doesn't want you to, they break down. You're like, hey, what's up with this Hunter Biden scandal?
Yeah. Yeah. It cuts off your penis. It's like wrong answer. I don't know. Gender reassignment surgery. Watch out.
Dude, I really would like to do one. I mean, I don't know how we would go about it or whatever. I feel like you need a guest, but I would love to do like a fucking aliens fucking one.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
But I feel like we need somebody who like feels like they fucking know aliens. So if anybody out there fucking seen an alien, let us know. We want to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, I was pissed, man. I contacted this girl. She was she told me before she was like she had like a supernatural TV show that she was on. Like it was kind of like it wasn't really big, it wasn't super popular, but I looked it up on YouTube. This is going back fucking over 10 years ago. I reached out to her, but she never got back to me. So
that's pretty cool. I know somebody that we both know that told me one of the most interesting fucking stories I've ever heard in my life. And you would believe her and I would believe her, but like she also said that she would never talk about it in public.
Yeah.
But it was one of the most interesting fucking things. Well, I guess we'll talk about it another time. But But yeah, all right, dude. Well, I mean, I guess it was Wing It Wednesday, so we just talked about whatever. Everybody's probably gonna go, oh my god, they fucking talking about Trump and Hunter Biden again. But I don't really care.
They're fucking homophobic, transgender phobic. No.
Well, listen, I don't care. I'll tell you what, your 8-year-old child is not ready to fucking make any decisions yet.
Yeah.
They still can't color in between the fucking lines and shit.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? They're on like fucking basic fucking math problems.
Yeah. Go let them fire up the grill or cook fucking dinner on the stove and do all the adult shit before.
Well, that's what I'm even thinking in my head. Like, in other words, like, dude, you just made me laugh really, because I'm thinking in my head, like, of the abundancy of fucking shit you would not let that kid do. That's basic. Like,
yeah, like I'm 8-year-old.
The stove.
Mom, I feel like a race car driver. I'm fully capable of driving the vehicle down 95. Okay, honey.
I feel like, inside me, I'm really I'm Evil Knievel.
I'm Dale Earnhardt. I can do it. I know it. Okay, honey.
All right, dude. You want to call it off?
Yes, sir. Thank you for tuning in, everyone.
Thanks a lot, guys. Remember, you got to like us, subscribe to us, hang out with us, call us on the phone, send us a text message.
Yeah.
Tell us, hey, how you doing? Love your show.
Some hate mail, some love letters, whatever.
That's how you know that we're not doing too great yet, because I haven't got any fucking hate mail yet. I want to get to that point.
Yeah. Like somebody's got to call me a racist or something.
Watch your show and I'm
like, holy shit. Somebody that doesn't know me is listening.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sick of getting people that are like, no, I really like it. I really like it. It's really good. And I'm like, I can fucking track this thing. I know who's watching and who's not. So fucking keep that in mind.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm Big Brother. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for listening. And make sure you like and subscribe. And we'll have something good for you next week. I want to make sure I'll put it all on Tommy. I won't do anything, and I'll tell Tommy, come up with something good for next week.
Until next time.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Later.